Hey everyone, Pecan here. Just wanted to quickly go over the One Piece market as it stands right before the release of Set 7. Hope everyone's having a good day. Make sure to subscribe because we're going to be going over Set 7 when it comes out. Hopefully open up some boxes on the channel. And just quickly, EB01. What's happening with the market? And before we get into this, just to say this is not financial advice. I'm not telling you to invest in any of these cards, buy any of these cards now. Just wanted to highlight the market, what's it's doing, and go over a couple of main points as to why I think some of the trends are happening and the way they're happening, and things that you can kind of follow on your own if you like the market to, follow on your own and see when is a good time for you to pick up any cards, any play sets, any alt arts if you're a collector. And of course, before we go into it again, don't buy alt arts if it's something that you can't financially afford. I only do so when I'm trying to collect cards that I like of characters that I'm a fan of. Never as an investment, just something as a hobby. But here we are in EB01 right before Set 7 comes out. And as you can see right from TCG Player, a lot of prices have gone down. I mean, boxes at 116 is kind of crazy. I know we already knew that this set was half of a regular set, so not a lot of variety in the product. So people that wanted their play sets got them a lot quicker just by the fact that when you're opening a box, there's less chance to get different cards because there's less variety in the box in general. So we're seeing that reflected in the price a lot. There's not a ton of great hits that you can get from this, as there's only a few cards that are super staples in the meta. Looking at Red Purple Law, Black Yellow Luffy, I guess an L2, any yellow card with Flampe. But yep, 116, some recent sales, a little bit over 120. And it really just is interesting to see how much one-to-one this is really with the Mr. 2 Bond Clay alt art. Pretty much more expensive than the box. So if you hit this, you're looking good. You're looking good. So for the Chopper manga, seeing sales nearby around 720, 764. It's climbing a little bit. Not super fast, not anything crazy. Again, Chopper, one of my favorite characters, but I think at the beginning we saw a huge dip around 600, 630, and then it's been climbing back up. If you were lucky enough to pull one of these, congrats. I myself not so lucky. I'm not going to super focus just on the alt arts in this video, as I myself am a collector to an extent that I can be. Cards are very expensive and it is just a hobby, so it's just something that when I can pick it up, I try to pick it up. But for the most part, we're seeing a lot of prices fall in here, and some things to really look out for is the Kid Killer, the Flampe, your Bond Clay, things that are super represented in the meta. If you need a play set of these cards, hopefully you've got them. Again, being as these boxes were half of the regular amount of cards in a box, it is a little bit quicker to get these play sets. We were seeing Kid Killer even around $3, so about 12 bucks, a little more for a play set. Not super terrible, but still, for just a regular non-alt art card, $3 for a set that just came out, and again, is half of a regular set, is still a little bit high in my opinion. Hopefully you've got your play set and it wasn't breaking your bank for anything. If you want to try out any red deck, Red Purple Law, you're going to need a 4 of it for this card. So again, 12 to maybe 15 bucks, 16 bucks for a play set. Moving on to another meta staple, we've got Flampe, which has been sitting pretty consistently around 250. Black Yellow Luffy, and now coming back in Set 7 a lot stronger with the Rush 10 cost Ace. Flampe is a card that sees a lot of play in those decks, especially Black Yellow Luffy. So being a 4 of, you're looking at about $10 for a playset of this, and I don't know if that's going to be changing too much. One major point that I want to get across in this video, if you're trying to just play some of these meta decks, if you want to try out any of these decks, things may fluctuate a lot, especially around tournaments. Whenever a big regional comes out and a deck did very well and it contains these cards, which it very much likely will, because these are staples in these high meta decks, you can see the price fluctuate and go up a little bit. For an example, Miss All Sunday, this card was not this expensive a month or so ago. And then Red Purple Law over here won a regionals, big tournament, had some copies in the deck, and we saw this card specifically go over from about 70 bucks, low 70s, yeah, all the way up to 120s, peaking around 120, stabilizing a little bit over 100. It's a great card, one of my favorites. I love the art on this, but again, we see things spike drastically, like with any TCG, if somebody does well with it, especially if it's a card you don't always see in every list. And the fact that Red Purple Law, being a top meta deck that has a lot of interchangeable parts between deck lists, again, we see a lot of staples, but of course there are some tech cards people might put in. You might see some fluctuation with these cards. So if you're thinking about playing these decks, keep that in mind, especially as more tournaments come about in set 7. As Sakazuki goes away, Red Purple Law, Black Yellow Luffy, these decks are probably going to be seen a lot more. So if these are decks that you're considering playing, make sure you've got your play sets and pick up these cards at a price that's comfortable for you. I'm just showing off these prices to kind of give you an idea of what we've seen and what can happen as we get into set 7 and these decks just get more representation that they already have in these tournaments. Next, we've got Cavendish. This is a great Supernova card for Bonnie. Not a super meta contending deck, but a great deck, something that I'm looking forward to playing, and just a great card that sees a lot of play in any green Supernova deck. Looking a little bit interesting when we compared some of the prices at first glance, a lot of things seem to be trending downward for EB01. Cavendish doing the opposite, dropping to around $5 as people were just opening a ton of these boxes. It wasn't really super difficult to get this product. I know some of my local game stores still have product on the shelf of EB01 because, again, being half of a regular set, people had to open up less product in general to get the playsets that they need. So there's more to go around. So we see this card going up slightly. Again, it was down around $5, $5.50. Now at a little bit over 11. I hope you've got your playset already. I don't know if this is going to continue to trend upwards as we get closer to set 7. Again, Bonnie, any green Supernova package could run this. So a card that sees a decent amount of play and a lot of fun decks. Hope you've got your playset already, because I don't know if we're going to see it go back down to this price at $5. So you're looking around $40 if you need a full playset. So maybe if you've got extra of these laying around, something good to trade for anything you need going into set 7, because as we know already, set 7 is going to have a bit of an issue with underprinting. From what I've heard from a lot of my local game stores, I've seen that they've even been hosting less pre-releases than normal and will have less product available than normal releases. We've just known this for a while, so very sad to see. If you were looking to get your hands on set 7 cards, you know, maybe look at some of these that you've got extras of for trade value to get those cards that you do need. Of course, again, if you're looking for any set 7 cards, best to sign up for pre-releases if you can. Next, we've got Mr. 2. Just the regular art has been hovering around this price, $38, around 40-ish. Just a staple, at least until set 8. For Red Purple Law specifically. Again, I'm going to be talking about that because, again, it's a really crazy deck. It's going to be super high in the meta for a while. However, that deck is going to be using this as a 4 of pretty much throughout set 7. Set 8, it goes a bit away when you have cards like Black Maria and Pudding instead to help ramp. So not going to be seeing so much play in there. So if, again, you're a collector and you're looking at alt arts just to pick up for your personal collection, maybe this card goes down a little bit in price as we get closer to set 8. It'll be a long thing to wait for, but possibly we see it go down as Red Purple Law, a top meta deck, has less use for it. Again, it's a great card in general. Maybe see some play in Pudding and other purple decks, but the thing that's just super represented in a lot of tournaments is going to be using it past set 7 for the most part. There might be lists that do, but for the most part, it doesn't see a ton of play after that. So again, $38, seeing pretty steady, $44. If you need your play set, you're looking at about over $120 for a play set. Again, a little bit crazy, but not super crazy for a secret rare of a set. Hopefully you got your cards if you need them. I don't see it trailing downward too much, especially as we get into set 7 and Sakazuki is no longer the leader. Tier 0 meta deck and Red Purple Law takes its place a little bit. This might spike up again as decks get more representation in the top, winners of these tournaments. People are going to want to play them for a good reason. It's a good deck and it's a lot of fun. So if you need your play set, pick it up, of course, when you can afford to. That is the main thing. But always be on the lookout for when these decks are winning tournaments, because that's when you're probably going to see these cards spike. So try not to buy it around then. Again, looking at 120 for the alt art, pretty much the price of the box. So a card that, it's a great alt art. Of course, it's a great alt art to have for a collection. Very expensive when you're considering it is the price of the entire box. And you can buy almost a full play set for the price of one alt art. Yeah, maybe something to wait on if you're looking for it for your collection. Moving on to other alt arts, we've got Kid and Killer. This card has been really interesting to me as it is a 4-of in law, and pretty much any red deck is just a great rush card, getting plus 2000 power whenever your opponent has 2 or less life. That is just lovely. And the art is pretty cool as well. I'm not the biggest fan of Captain Kidd, but hey, this is a really cool card. And we're seeing this effect where even though it is super used in top decks, just the fact that so much of this product was available, I think people have, maybe there's just too much supply right now. And again, not saying to pick up the alt arts if you're looking to just try out the decks, test the decks, and play in your locals. This is just if you're a collector or someone who just loves the art of this card and wants to pick up a single for your collection or something like that. We are seeing it trail down. And again, given that the fact that set 7 is going to be a little bit harder to get product of, people might still be opening up EB01 even though we get into set 7. It's going to be interesting to keep a look at on that card. Again, Cavendish, one of the cards that was a little bit cheaper and now is slightly gaining price, around 25. Not super crazy. Like the regular art for this card was half of what it is now. This has just risen about $5. We're, seeing right on release 50, 30, those crazy prices. Of course, do not buy these cards right when the set comes out unless you really need them. But if you really need product as soon as the set drops, again, pre-release tournaments are your best friend. The best way to get product as soon as possible. $25 for this card. It's not super bad, again, if you're just trying to finish out the set for your collection, but we are seeing it rise a little bit. And again, if any Bonnie decks manage to get a pretty good placing in a regionals, we might see this spike a little bit more, but only time can tell. Of course, it's Cavendish. Any Supernova package is going to want to run this card. It's a great effect. I think it's a pretty solid price right now, so I don't know if we're going to see it spike too much. We've already seen it bounce up and down around this price. Hopefully you were able to get your playset before the regular art spiked up a bit in price. Next, going on to another meta card from this set, an alt art Flambe. We saw the price for the regular art, $250. This one, around $38. We're seeing just a little bit under 40, $39.50. It's going down a little bit. I think people realize that just Lucci and Red Purple Law are just killers in this meta. Black Yellow Luffy, of course, does super well. And now, pretty good deck uses this card. Of course, Black Yellow Luffy is heavily relies on this card to get your leader effect active. $38 for it. I don't see it dropping super lower than this. Obviously, we're seeing it trend down a little bit. It was a little bit above 52 for a while, especially since, people are trying out Black Yellow Luffy here. I think as we get into set 7, we might see some Black Yellow Luffy in our tournaments. Maybe it goes up a little bit, maybe it stays down. Of course, this isn't a device of when to buy the card, just a showing that it is trending down right now. So if you are looking to pick up a copy, maybe, you know, you see over the next week a point where you can afford to, if you're looking for that collection. Next, a card that I love, which made me sad that he is not seeing the love represented in his price. Tony Chopper. This art was adorable, adorable. And a card that sees a little bit of play here and there in Red Purple Law. Again, it's a deck that sees some interchangeable parts. It doesn't have the most use, but hey, it's another 3 cost for your going first curve. And it's a minusing effect. It's a minusing effect for 2 Dawn. It is just a lovely artwork. It's a lovely artwork. So if you're a fan of Chopper, if you just want to collect the card, it is going down. Not rapidly, but hey, it is going down. So maybe pick it up if you're a fan and just want to collect the card. It is one of the cheaper alt arts in the set for still being a decent card that you could maybe run in some decks, and just lovely. And we also see in set 8, way down the line, some red builds with the new Tony Chopper 3 cost 5k searcher for animal cards. This is a combo piece for that. So if you're looking for that Chopper leader or Zoro that runs that same package, could put this in one of those decks. So again, if you're looking to collect, maybe not a bad price, around 20 bucks. Of course, bottom line, pick up these cards if you're looking to collect at a price that's good for you. Look at the trends. They are going down right now as we're approaching set 7, but as set 7 comes out, who knows what's going to happen. Again, the biggest factor in watching the market is when a deck does well in a regionals. People want the top meta decks, so they're looking at those deck lists for what to pick up. So as soon as a deck uses any of these cards and does very well, you can expect that price to go up a little bit. So the fact that they're trending down right now, you know, you judge for yourself if anything is worth picking up or trading away. If you have any of these cards, you need to pick up something possibly from set 7. Of course, looking at a bit more of an interesting topic, as a whole, we're seeing a bit of an effect of the reprint waves with some of these boxes from earlier sets, which I just wanted to briefly cover. Romance Dawn, a box that was sitting very, very pricey. I know myself, I didn't really get to open boxes of this set. I got into the game a little bit late, but 500 bucks or close to it. And then we saw a bit of reprints, so the prices started going down. And now we're seeing it come back up a little bit, but still under $300. I know the UK official store had, I think, a wave of these. You know, the official stores in the US have some packs available. I don't believe they're selling sealed boxes, but still some reprints are affecting the prices of this. So if you're a newer player and maybe not even looking to open boxes, but if you need any of the cards from these sets, it is, you know, an interesting thing to consider if you weren't able to pick up any of these cards before, as the fact that the boxes are getting cheaper means that the individual singles will as well. So we are seeing it trend upwards a little bit now, but still under 300. OPO2, huge spike down that doesn't seem to be going up, but $219 per box. This one wasn't as expensive, you know, seeing close to 400, mid 300, and then just dropping down. Resales 218, 225, 225. So if you're a collector looking to pick up boxes, because I know people like to collect unopened sealed boxes to have, you know, every set, something to consider. Again, pick up things at prices that you can afford to. I'm never going to suggest when to buy at specific times, but the fact that these boxes are going down, it is crazy. Let me know, are you excited for these reprint waves? Are you someone who's been holding on to boxes for a while? Seeing OPO3 hover a little bit higher because we see some leaders and different characters that people still use today, you know, Katakuri. Decent enough leaders to the point where some of the prices of these boxes, we can see why. This box was never as expensive, hovering around 260, and now just about 20 bucks cheaper, around 250, 260-ish. So nothing crazy, but still a bit of a dip. More interesting to me was OPO4, the fact that this box has gone up. Previously, if we look at like a little bit further back at like 6 months, this box was pretty cheap because there wasn't too much that people needed out of it. Now we're seeing with Black Yellow Luffy, of course, the Sabo blocker that is in this set is now around $20. So there are cards that are coming back into use, and of course, just being a cheaper box to open, people that want to open product or collect might be looking at this, and now it is getting closer to about 200. Of course, there's still not too much in this box that warrants, you know, an increase of price. Of course, again, Sabo, but not too much else from this box. Not too many of the leaders that are going crazy. Decent set. This is, you know, close to my heart because OP04 was when I started playing. So interesting to see that it is climbing still. So boxes seem to be all leveling out around 200. As we can see, OP05, a great box to open, or at least one that a lot of people wanted to. We can see that this price was all over the place for a bit, but again, still hovering around 200 and then climbing a bit higher. 240-ish, 230-ish now. Of course, all the 3 different manga cards that you can get from this set. The signed Oda card, a lot of chase cards from this set. So a lot of people wanted to open this set. So we can see why it is still, even though it is still a bit newer, it's still very expensive. But something I'm excited to see is the price of set 6 has dropped a lot. So if you're a bit of a newer player and you need product to open, set 6 being a newer set and not super breaking the bank to get product for seems exciting. Of course, if you're a collector and hoping some of your more recent pulls held value, definitely could be disappointing, but hey, we see the price has been going down. It was steady around 160 for a while, but now we're seeing it dip even a little bit lower, as I think people are just excited for set 7 to come out. Again, the Zoro manga card has dipped a little bit in value too. There's a few, of course, cards that people are going to be chasing still. The secret rare Zoro and Sanji have their uses in green decks for Zoro in set 7. You know, of course, Bonnie. I've seen a lot of deck lists. I've tried out a few deck lists that run a few copies of the card. It feels great in the deck. Sanji definitely has its use in a lot of blue decks. But other than that, I feel like people are seeing the effects of the reprints. I know a lot of stores that I've been to have been getting a ton of 06 lately. I've even seen boxes on the shelf for, my goodness, the first time in a while. It's been crazy to see. So we're seeing a lot of Bandai's response of, you know, the reprints with these sets and how is it affecting the market, driving prices down because we've just been getting a lot more supply. On the flip side, 500 years in the future, set 7 coming out already, pre-sale 180 for a box. We already know that there's going to be a little bit less product to get, a little bit harder to get. So I don't know if you've already got boxes ordered or what your situation for getting product is. There's definitely, of course, don't buy singles at this pre-sale price. They're always going to go down, I feel. You know, I've been playing since set 4 and I haven't really seen too many cards that don't immediately go down, even just a little bit within the first week. Of course, if you got a tournament close into set 7, hopefully you can get your cards. Hopefully you can get your play sets of things you need when you need them, and hopefully don't break your bank getting them. But if you're someone who's just playing at locals, playing for fun, maybe you've got a tournament a month or so down the line after set 7, you gotta wait for these pre-sale prices to drop, and hopefully you can get into some pre-release tournaments, get your 6-packs, get something that you need from them, or maybe trade somebody there that gets something that you need. A lot of these prices, you know, the Sanji blocker getting into red purple law, $22. You know, I can see this card still being pretty expensive even after we get through the initial pre-sale pricing. The secret rare Ace, definitely a great card for yellow decks. Enel, again, I can see it going down a good bit, but still being maybe $30, $40 for a bit. Just the fact that we know going into this that everyone's been telling us that we're going to be getting less product availability. So boxes might still be around this price for a while. And of course, I'd love to see the effects of set 7 on the market as a collector myself, seeing what spikes, what goes down, looking at the tournaments. It's going to be just a wild time. The One Piece market has been crazy, crazy, crazy. So yeah, let me know what you think down in the comments, and hope to see you in set 7. Bye-bye.